Hey, birthday girl, rise and shine. Okay, who's doing the honors? Me? Aren't we the anxious one? 1 is for witch. 2 is for bitch. Trumpet, Marcy! Oh my God. What happened to her? What's in her throat? Courtney? Oh my God. Oh my God. This is a joke, right? This is a total joke. Say it's a joke. It was supposed to be for fun. Oh my God. This isn't happening. Say this isn't happening. I just didn't want her to scream. Oh God. Oh God, Liz. I thought a jawbreaker would be funny. You gagged her with a jawbreaker?
Welcome back to the show, everybody.
Welcome back. Oh my gosh, Pete.
Are you excited for this one?
I'm excited for this movie.
Excited. I think you are.
And you probably have a pretty good idea what we're doing with the Imperial Team song playing right now.
Everybody out there listening, my name's Pete.
And I'm Scott, and these are the movies that made us gay.
Yes, indeed.
Pete,
yes.
We have a very special guest and a amazing movie to talk about today.
Indeed, both.
We had Thomas Dekker over to watch Jawbreaker from 1999, directed and written by Darren Stein.
Yes, indeed. Thomas, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Welcome. This is very exciting to meet you and to have you on.
Oh my gosh. Thomas, you've worked with Gregoraki. Do you know how fucking cool that is for our show?
Well, it's a thrill to be here.
Thank you.
It's been a long time coming. I love your show.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we were just talking about Doom Generation a minute ago. Just like, how have we not gotten to Doom Generation yet? We love Greg. We love Rose.
I know.
Yeah. So, but this movie, Jawbreaker, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely one of those movies that had always intended to do a Jawbreaker episode from the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Well, of course, it fits.
Yeah, absolutely.
To me.
Absolutely. So, Scott, what stats do you have about Jawbreaker?
I mean, Jawbreaker debuted at Sundance January of 99 and went on to be released nationwide February 19th, 1999, 23 years ago to the day that we're recording this episode.
Wow, that's insane.
Which I didn't even know until we were watching the movie, and I was like, holy shit, like this movie came out today.
That's so
February 19th.
Wow.
So nuts.
Yeah. 23 years.
23 years ago.
An important piece of art was released into the cosmos.
Absolutely. And the thing is, the crazy thing about this movie is that, 99, right?
I mean, this was released the same month as She's All That and Varsity Blues, which is wild. When you just sort of compare those three movies.
Yeah.
I remember for some reason, that period, like 99, 98, I think I was 10 or 11, and I was just obviously consuming like everything on a really high level, right? And watching Jawbreaker again, I was thinking of all the movies of that period that I was obsessed with. Like it was Urban Legend, and I Know What You Did Last Summer, and Idle Hands, and She's All That, and Can't Hardly Wait. And I mean, the list goes on and on and on. The Faculty and like Scream, and it's enormous. Yes. But Jawbreaker is in its own spot.
It's in its own kooky universe.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the queerness. I mean, only a gay man could like write and bring forth this movie into the world.
And a brilliant gay man at that.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll get to Darren later.
Yes, indeed. But the thing about this movie, it's like much like something like Clueless, it really exists in its own like bubble of nobody looked like that, nobody dressed like that, nobody talked like that, but we still love it. We still identify it with this point in time. It is so 90s, but it's actually not 90s at all, like in some ways. But that's what just makes it so great. It
is so of the period, but it's kind of timeless at the same.
Yeah, these crazy costumes. And I mean, for me, at the time when I originally watched it, I know, and I can say this now, that I didn't really appreciate it for what it was, because I just really didn't get it. I was just like, they are 30, first of all. What are these outfits? No, pumps in the high school hallways. Like, come on. I was just so like, trying to be like cool, like breaking it down, that I was just not understanding that it's a fantasy. It's a fantasy. And
yeah.
4 years earlier, I was eating up Clueless, but this time I was like, oh no, turning my nose down at it, just going, it's too much. And you know what it was to me at the time was, I think I was being snobbish because of the inevitable Heathers comparisons.
Sure.
You know, which we have to talk about, the Heathers comparison. It's there. I see it. But even at the time, I was like, well, it's no Heathers. But it's not trying to be. It never was trying to be.
I think it's totally its own thing.
It's very different.
And the prime difference also, and what's beautiful about Jawbreaker, is that there is not a man.
Yeah, it's true.
Unlike Heathers, there is not a man in the mix of all this insanity. It's all girls. It's like purely like...
Yeah. You could say that Heathers was more about...
I'm not saying Heathers is that, by the way. Joe is...
Yeah, of course. You could say that it's about the love story between Winona Ryder and Christian Slater, but also he is kind of like this spark that's kind of starting off all of this like, crazy stuff at this school between these girls. But you're right. In this movie, it's just these crazy girls in this clique doing it.
And there is no external spark. It's just kind of like the latent evil of Courtney Shane in this group and how it comes to pass.
It's all Courtney's crazy just coming out.
I am wearing my Courtney Shane t-shirt. Yes. I killed the teenage dream. We went to the anniversary screening and night at Queen Kong back in 2019.
Yeah.
And they had like a big Jawbreaker drag show, and Darren complimented my t-shirt. The Jawbreaker t-shirt.
I have to say, like, my specific weird relationship with, because I grew up obsessed with Jawbreaker, and then in my very early 20s, I met Darren and was a complete, pure, insane fangirl. Like, I met him, and I think I just quoted the movie for like 5 hours, like a lunatic. But we ended up becoming friends, and then he produced a movie I did for Peaches Christ in San Francisco, and that's another kind of cult crazy thing. And so it's really weird now that I have this friendship with Darren, and I love him dearly, but I'm also like rewatching this movie. It just reminds me what a kind of legendary piece it is. And like, the lollipop scene, like that was in a mainstream teen-oriented movie in the 90s, like where he's it's pretty ballsy. I can't really point to another mainstream teen movie that got that kind of level of shit in there.
Absolutely.
And just Darren's story is so interesting. Like, how old was he when he directed this movie?
Oh my God,
I think
so
he was
young.
probably like 24, 25 at most.
And he'd already made a whole feature before it called
Sparkler, right? With Jamie Kennedy? Yeah.
Yeah, he's amazing. Darren's amazing.
But
anyway, back to the movie.
And just like, I know that he said at the anniversary screening that this started out as sort of a project at Sony and Columbia and TriStar that was meant to be direct-to-video, and they just sort of fast-tracked it to be theatrical, I think, as they were making it.
Okay.
Really?
That it just sort of became this major movie. So yeah, he's a very lucky guy that he got a crazy type of movie like this made.
Right.
But maybe that speaks to why the spirit of it feels so kind of transgressive and independent in this kind of mainstream packet. That makes sense. I didn't actually know that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that he mentioned that in the Q&A.
I just remember going back again to the time frame that this movie came out. I had been kind of mesmerized under Rose McGowan's spell for so long because of, Doom Generation and then Scream, obviously. And now this comes out and I'm just like, she's the girl. And, walking around the mall and seeing these ads of her for BB in this like red dress.
Oh, I remember that.
Leopard, leopard 90s for BB. And they're just so dramatic and beautiful. And that's the girl. And I would remember telling people, like, oh, she's in Doom Generation. You haven't seen it. You haven't seen this movie, Doom Generation. It's great. You need to go find it, go rent it. And I just thought that I was so cool because I, knew that I was this early adopter of like Rose McGowan, and then, you were
there from the ground up. That was like the very first thing.
Yeah. And this movie just kind of solidified that style, that delivery. Of hers. It's just like,
she has some great monologues in this movie.
I feel like given the wrong actress, they would just be like, eye roll, but she just knocks them out of the park.
Yeah.
Well, in my opinion, I've seen this movie 1,000 million billion trillion times, but rewatching it has been a spell. Like I haven't seen it for hadn't seen it for quite some time. And I think actually the thing that's kind of re-stunned me the most is just how amazing Rose is in this movie. Like, yeah, obviously it is so Darren's movie. It's his writing. It's all of that. But I can't imagine Jawbreaker. It's not just like, I can't picture it with another actress, but it's like the whole world of the movie is, she's so in tune with it. And she just, every time she's on screen in this such a great way, she just consumes everything. And I think she's amazing in it.
Yeah, definitely. What I picked up on in this last viewing for the first time, I don't know how I never picked up on it before, was the connections to Carrie and Grease.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think just the idea of, obviously these actresses, like I said, are in their...
Tale's oldest time in teen movies that you cast actors in their late 20s or 30s to play young people.
And myself included.
Yep.
But, I thought that I had read that Rachel Lee Cook was in there for the...
I think it was for Rebecca Gayheart.
For the Rebecca Gayheart role. And... in 1999, Rachel Lee Cook kind of passed for a high school student. So I feel like she would have been out of place with everybody else. She would have looked so young and tiny and vulnerable.
Rebecca works better opposite both of them.
And Rebecca Gayheart, that face. It's like, come on.
Those stunning eyes.
I know. And I think that the kind of the obvious age thing, all of it, the clothes, like you said, the pumps in that, in just that opening shot.
Yes.
It's sort of letting you know this is pure fantasy.
Yeah. This is the movie.
This is like beyond the Valley of the Dolls for teenagers, which is so cool.
And knowing Darren as well as I do, like he is such a cinema lover. He's such a film lover, and you saying Carrie and all that. You should see he's got a library in his home of just like every great film. So all those things I think are very purposeful, and it's part of the reason the movie endures, and it's not just another team, and why it's a cult movie.
Yeah, yeah. Well, when I saw the parents,
William Catt and PJ Souls,
and I didn't even realize it was PJ Souls, and Scott was like, "Oh, and that's PJ Souls as the mom," and I was like, "Oh, that's so cool." And then we didn't see him again.
And there they go.
They're in for like one shot.
Yeah, there they are, and there they went.
But, and then in GBF, Darren's other movie, Rebecca Gayheart is a parent.
She's the mom. That's right.
That's right. Just remember that.
Full circle. That's crazy. I hate that when you start seeing actors and you're like, well, I guess they're the parents now.
I think that when we were watching the new Scream movie and Heather Matarazzo came on screen, and I could just hear Pete groan, "Oh my God."
I gasped when Heather
is playing teenagers' parents now in a movie.
God. She's no longer in the dollhouse?
That's the thing to me. She's
that'll always be Dawn.
She'll always be Dawn Wieners, and I was just like, oh, my heart broke a little.
That's another movie that, man, really shaped me.
Love it. Yeah,
our audience cheered when she showed up on screen too, which kind of warmed my heart.
The audience did cheer when she showed up in Scream recently when we saw that at the Sunset 5. But so those Carrie connections, Grease, Jeff Conaway, and Jeff Conaway in 1999 looked great. He looks great in this movie.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Because, we know,
They must have got him on, like, sort of a peak.
Yeah.
Instead of a valley.
So, good for him that he looks so great. And, one of, a later role, we can remember him looking this way and not on, like, Celebrity Rehab.
Let's just remember everybody looking this way. Yeah. It's a beautiful movie.
Exactly. Even Marilyn Manson, I guess. Well...
Oof. It's better than he looks in this movie. God, he's so disgusting in this movie.
So disgusting in this movie. He looks like the Maitlands when they're trying to scare, like, when they pull their faces.
Yes.
In Beetlejuice.
100%. And God, remember that red carpet moment of him and her in that see-through dress.
Yes.
Were they at like the MTV Movie Awards or something?
It was either the VMAs or the Movie Awards.
I just remember seeing that as a kid and being like, oh my God. Like,
how is she wearing this on television?
Rose throughout her whole career has known how to push people's buttons. And that's why she's so much fun in a role like this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's talk about our leads. It's interesting. Well, it's not interesting. I think we just kind of got used to it in Mean Girls, calling them something. The plastics, they don't have like a name. The clique doesn't have a name, but I guess Mean Girls is really one of the only ones to do it. But I want to talk about the girls in the clique.
Yes.
I mean, we talked about Rose, a little bit about Rebecca Gayheart.
The opening narration from Judy Greer is pretty great.
Flawless Four.
Flawless Four. There you go.
The one in
Call them
green,
the
that's
Four.
Courtney. She was the leader. She was like Satan in heels. The blonde, Marcy Fox, a legend in her own mind, known to herself as Foxy. The leggy one with the pigtails is Julie, doomed to be popular because of that face. What
There you
a
go.
line.
There you go.
What a line. Well, I mean, what just great character sum-ups in just like
Doomed to be
one
popular.
sentence for all three of them.
So
I don't believe we met. What was the cruel politics of high school now?
Julie Benz, I want to talk about a little bit. I feel like her character is a little bit more layered than I remember. I feel like there's kind of a lot there.
There's kind of a lot going on with her.
Yeah.
Poor Marcy.
Poor
Kind of lapdog of Courtney.
Yeah. You know, when we first get introduced to Marcy, I mean, when we first get introduced to all three of them, it's, you know, this like kidnapping situation, and they find out that, what's her name that died?
Elizabeth.
Liz Purr.
Liz Purr.
Liz.
Also, what a
The
name.
cat's meow.
Yeah, you're talking about meow. You're talking about meow. You know, she's so distraught over Liz that the first couple scenes with Julie Benz, she's like crying and hysterical and all that. But then when you start to see like the real Foxy, just kind of like taking so much pleasure, just laughing in people's faces and being so flippant with her dad, Jeff Conaway, and you're just like, okay, there's more to her than just being kind of like the crazy hysterical one. She's the one that kind of, she's not as mean as Courtney, but she loves every bit of meanness that comes out of Courtney. You know?
Well, I think she's been always the girl in the group who's mattered the least to Courtney.
Sure.
And so once Liz is dead and Rebecca's out of the picture, she's the new partner in crime, and she leaps at it. And suddenly, because you're right, she suddenly is this like diabolical thing.
Yeah.
And then of course Courtney just completely throws her away. Yeah, you know, it's just great too.
Yeah. So Rebecca Gayheart is Julie.
Rebecca Gayheart coming hot off of Urban Legend.
Yeah.
Which, God, she's amazing.
I mean, her character is pretty much its own. I mean, her hair is pretty much her own character in that movie. And I feel, I mean, Rebecca committed for this role. She had to wake up early and straighten that hair. Every single day. She had to flat iron that hair.
Those curls, that mane.
Oh, God. I remember I saw Urban Legend in the theater, and the reveal, I was stunned. I was shocked.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah. She kind of is the one that has a little bit of a heart. She's got that connection.
She kind of childhood friend of Liz that just sort of became in with this group because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like the way that she treats Fern. Like, even when Fern shows up at the house later on, she's just like, come on, I'm taking you home. Let's get the hell out of here. She's like, she's the one that has like the most, head screwed on straight.
Yes.
And then poor Liz Purr, we don't really see too much of her, but I mean, we get this like legendary.
We hear good things.
We hear great things about her.
She's very beautiful.
Very beautiful. This actress is very beautiful.
Yeah, that shot of her in the pool, in the like fantasy sequence, is she's beautiful.
Yes. And I mean, this whole thing about kidnapping each other on their birthdays, wild. Is this real? Who knows? You didn't do it? Oh, man.
I mean, best case scenario, if I'm Liz and I'm surviving this, I'm going to be pissed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seriously, what the fuck, you guys? Were they going to take her to school? It's a school day.
I mean, I guess they're going out for breakfast, so maybe they were just going to skip.
What is it? They're going to tie her to the flagpole and then stuff her face with pancakes, I think.
Okay, there you go.
So
in her panties.
So this shooting location, we would always get in big debates of if this is the restaurant right next to LACMA and now the Academy Museum that I think that they only used for filming. It is not.
It's not that restaurant.
It is not that restaurant. It is in Downey. It was a Bob's Big Boy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I wonder if the old drive-in theaters in Downey too, like where Rebecca goes.
Probably out there. Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Industry or something like that. But yeah.
Good old Downey.
Right? But yeah, that Bob's Big Boy's still open. You can go there. It looks pretty much the same. But can talk a little bit about Fern.
Fern.
Two iconic Greers in this movie. Judy Greer and Pam Grier.
And her Aunt Pam.
And I always kind of forget that motherfucking Pam Grier is in this movie.
Yeah.
I know.
Foxy
Pam
Brown.
Grier, Carol Kane. Like,
Carol Kane, yeah.
Oh my
that's
God.
the one I forgot about.
I want to go to that high school with like Carol Kane as your principal.
you know, when Carol Kane's dress at the prom is everything with that blue rose and the chiffon.
Yes.
She adds such great character work when she buttons up Courtney's
her little cardigan.
Her little cardigan.
This is a learning institution, not a brothel. I think that's maybe like my favorite line of the whole movie for some reason. I don't know. I love.
No, it's real. It's really good. No, but yeah, you're right. When she starts buttoning them, she's just like, "Do it yourself.
Just do it yourself."
Yeah. So Fern Mayo, you know, the way she talks about Liz, her. I mean, am I alone here? Lesbian.
Yeah, I'm just a little in love with Liz.
I mean, who wouldn't be?
Who wouldn't be in love with Meow?
That's great.
You're talking about Meow.
Liz is the cat's name.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was also like Judy Greer's first thing.
That's so crazy.
I think she had just graduated acting school, and this was her first paid gig. So I was trying to find out. She mentioned at the Q&A that we were at that she was brought in last minute because they lost the actress, or she quit, who was originally cast, and I could not find out who was the original Fern Mayo.
Oh, interesting. Mm-hmm. Well, she lost out.
Yeah, she lost out.
She's like so perfectly cast in it. I mean, obviously now, you know, she's a big thing ever since, but like she's so well chosen because she's so tall and kind of gangly and awkward and weird that you buy that she'd be Fern, but she's also obviously like beautiful and compelling and interesting enough that you'd buy she could be Vylette. So she really kind of like in a natural, authentic way, she fits both roles really well. Yeah. I just think she's great in it.
It's that crazy Tyra Banks, like, it's so wrong, it's right.
There's something very interesting about her. And that's the thing about Judy Greer. And I can also think of someone like Amy Adams, that we all remember their first movie, like Jawbreaker or Drop Dead Gorgeous. And you just feel like you've been following them since the beginning. And that's what's really fun about the career of Judy Greer, is we've just been there every step of the way with her.
It's true.
Yeah,
and I've met her one brief moment, and she's absolutely lovely.
Yeah, it's funny when you said like this is her first thing, and I was just thinking, but she's just always been around. She's been America's best friend as long as I can remember.
America's best friend.
Yeah,
America's best friend or a mom.
Or now playing the moms. Jurassic World.
Yes, and Halloween.
And Halloween.
Iconic Christmas sweater wear in Halloween.
That's right, the Christmas cardigan in Halloween. She had to wear for 2 movies. Oh boy. Well, yeah, the transformation into Vylette. I mean, and again,
that sequence I'm obsessed with.
Yeah.
Her makeover sequence, all that's going on.
That kookiness.
And it's kooky scenes like that, these very like surreal scenes. It's like you're not finding that in a movie like Can't Hardly Wait.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, I love it. It's like kind of Tim Burton-y. It's kind of just like off the wall, kind of John Waters like thrown in there.
Bride of Frankenstein.
Yeah. And it's perfect, and it's not out of place at all. It just fits right in. And again, we have been informed at the beginning of what kind of ride that we're on. So when we see that, we're not like, what's going on? And when we see Fern sitting on this Corvette, just like
Angeline,
dancing like Angeline, and everybody's just staring at her. She's not doing anything. She's not singing. She's not doing. She's just sitting there. And
I love Rose running out from the hallway to outside.
Yeah,
it's like, what the fuck is going on?
Smash into the bathroom.
Oh man, that is good. That is like woo. That
means business
intense.
Right there.
Yeah, I just love the way she just snatches that cigarette out of her mouth, throws it on the ground.
I think that whole bathroom scene is one shot.
Wow.
I have to go back to make sure.
Yeah,
but I think it's one continuous take, which is pretty great.
Yeah,
I noticed on this viewing that they replaced the mirror.
Cracked.
So I think that there might be some sort of a cut, because it cuts back to the mirror and it's
and that moment
broken.
I love that Rose McGowan does this weird thing to Marcy's lipstick at the end for no reason. She just like cups her mouth and smears it and walks off, and it's so great.
Yeah, absolutely, so good. I die when she grabs that cigarette right out of her hand. She just grabs it and throws it on the ground.
I never would, but don't you kind of want to do both those things to somebody?
Oh, of course.
Courtney Shane. Like, there's a part of me that's like, ugh.
I just want to shake the shit out of people sometimes.
And just pull the cigarette out of their mouth.
Shove them into a mirror. Yeah, I mean, Courtney's kind
There's a little bit of Courtney in all of
yes,
us. Let's be real.
That's what I was going to say. We have a little inner Courtney.
You once spoke of ammunition, if I'm correct. And I don't know why, but it really struck me. Well, the last few weeks, it's all come clear. And on a clear day, baby, you can see tomorrow.
Excuse me?
I've got the power. Her name's Sweet Liz, remember? Your bloated boo-boo.
I'll fucking shred you, you whore.
And I'll tell a secret.
Do tell, dear, but don't be surprised when they laugh in your face. Cruz has a suspect in custody. It ain't me.
I know the truth. I know what really happened, Courtney.
I made you, and I can break you just as easily.
I mean, I think, like, honestly, like, part of the reason why I love this movie so much in the realm of what this show's about is, like, for me specifically, I think as a little queer boy, I was kind of craving darkness and edge, and like that's just how I'm made up as a person. And so to get this kind of shiny, teen, colorful package, but that really has this kind of, in a great way, nastiness to it, and this darkness and this sort of the viciousness of puberty and the politics of it all. And I don't know, it really spoke to me certainly more than any of the kind of shinier, happier, lighter fare of the variety, I guess.
Yeah.
So I remember my local. I'm from a very small town, and I remember our local movie theater had a poster for this movie up. This movie was never going to step foot within like thousands of miles from where I came from, but I remember our movie theater had a poster of Jawbreaker, and I was familiar with Rose, and I was like, "What is this movie? Beautiful colors, these beautiful women." Like, these are not high school girls; these are women.
Women,
yeah. And that was one of the big things that I was fascinated with. Like, what is this movie? This is probably never going to be playing in our small town. And I remember our video store, when it did come out on VHS, had one copy for the entire town. And whenever I would go in, it would always be out.
Aww.
And I think that I had to get it set aside. There. Like, set aside the copy of Jawbreaker, our single copy of Jawbreaker for Scott. And then I ended up just buying it.
Yeah. There was like one other like gay dude in your town probably that was just renting it every week.
Yeah.
So like, and I'm going to watch it again.
I remember ordering the soundtrack from a store. Like, I went into a music store and was like, I want the soundtrack, and you have to wait 2 weeks for it to show up on CD.
You know, we were talking about the soundtrack before too.
I bought the soundtrack at Hastings Music when I was a kid.
Really?
Yeah, at a Hastings.
In where?
Thinking Great Falls, like 100 miles away from my town.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's where we had to go to get the good soundtracks. I mean, Imperial Teen, Veruca Salt,
Shampoo.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many
Letters to
bands.
Cleo. Definitely had a moment at this time.
The crazy thing about Jawbreaker is that, like, the song's soundtrack is fabulous, but then the score is also amazing. And I think that just came out on the original score came out on like a collector's edition.
Did they do like a vinyl for it?
Like a few months ago, I think, and I really want to buy it.
Oh, that's fun.
I mean, Darren kind of lucked out with this song. That, like, it just perfectly places you in the tone of this movie, and you can do it with a single song. Like, do you know how many like teen movies would kill to have a theme like this? Movies try to make moments like this work, and it usually doesn't. It usually doesn't happen now.
Yeah.
It's iconic.
Yeah.
It's just...
And, you know, the other cool thing about Imperial Teen is that, like, there's women in the band, there's two guys, there's two girls. You know, the front man or, like, the lead, like, male singer is, like, he's queer. You know, I think the girls are as well. And so at the time in 99... for me, you know, in college, just being like, there's this band, they have a legit song that's being played on K-Rock in LA, and there's a queer dude fronting this band, singing the song, and they're playing it on MTV, and I was just like, I need to be where this is. And I went out and I got the Imperial Teen CD, not the soundtrack of the movie, but the Imperial Teen CD, and I have friends who are musicians and were in bands at the time, and they kind of thought that the band was a little gimmicky because they would like switch instruments for different songs and stuff. And I was like, it doesn't matter. You guys just need to know that there's like a gay dude.
They're super cool.
They're fucking cool. Get over your cool selves and just like go with me to the shows. But it just meant like it was just that extra element of like how cool is this band? You know, in the 90s, like coming out of grunge and how hyper masculine rock can be, you know, to have like queer people like represented. And then also the over the opening credits you get that great Veruca Salt song.
Yep.
Not on the soundtrack, sadly.
Oh, okay.
No, I know. That used to happen all the time.
It's been a weird rights thing.
Yeah.
Get the soundtrack for songs and then they wouldn't be there. But I suppose it's all legal shit.
Yeah, totally. But, you know, that's another great band. It's like female fronted, these two girls who could a charade on their guitars, man. Like, and that's another thing. My guy friends, I would be like, you can't say shit about Veruca Salt being a girl band because you can't even solo like this.
Mm-hmm. No, Veruca Salt's the Donnas are another good all-girl band.
Absolutely. Yeah. So this, and again, at a time when in teen movies they would often just throw in kind of like an indie
I can't
band
remember
to play the prom.
I mean, is it Letters to Cleo, like Cleo that's in 10 Things I Hate About You at the prom? I can't remember.
Letters to Cleo are playing on the roof
Yeah.
of the school at the end of 10 Things I Hate About You.
And they
Letters to Cleo also has a big one in The Craft. Man, they were all over.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, they were having a moment. I kind of love that, though. We don't really have, like, soundtracks aren't really a thing anymore. Like,
I mean, it was kind of at a time with movie marketing where you could just market your movie. I mean, you could just, like, put the soundtrack in a Sam Goody or a Musicland and it just helped market your movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also tie-in videos. That's kind of not really...
And also, it was pre-internet when it was much harder to find music.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
movies introducing... Like, I remember all the early Gregoraki stuff.
Yeah.
So much of that was like discovering the bands that he had in all those movies.
I mean,
it was kind of so much about the music.
I mean, isn't the soundtrack to Nowhere partly the reason why you can't go and buy a Nowhere DVD?
Yeah.
I think it's music.
The reason. It is the reason.
We have it on
asked,
VHS.
You know that when we were rapping Kaboom, I did this giant painting for Greg as a rap gift. And he was like, oh no, I feel so bad. I have to give you something. What do you want? And I was like, honestly, all I want is a copy of Nowhere because I haven't seen it because I can't find it anywhere. And so he was like, oh shit, I don't even know where I have one.
Oh Lord.
That was my deal with Nowhere. That I knew of it, but I just couldn't get a hold of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think I had seen it until I started going out with Pete and we rented it from Videotech in South Pasadena.
And we had a VCR. What was Greg able to find a copy?
Yeah, he found some random VHS he had, and he just gave it to me and had like a sticker on it. I think I still have it somewhere. And a couple of years ago, the Now Apocalypse premiere, I was like, why isn't it out on DVD? Like, what's going on? And it is because of the soundtrack is like Radiohead and all these giant bands that they do not.
Suede, all that, yeah.
Yeah. But the Doom Generation soundtrack, like all that early... Oh, I love it. Sorry, that's a whole other conversation.
Oh, no, it's okay.
I have like 2 CDs in my car that I actually listen to off CD, and the Nowhere soundtrack is one of them.
One of them, yeah.
You know what? I think this is not a joke. I think it might be in my car too. I think I have like 5 little CD boxes in my console that I never
Stuffed
look at.
in there, I love that. Yeah. I mean, music is used very, very well in this movie. Mm-hmm. It's used in just the right spots and just the right amount. I also love that there's those really cool kind of like 60s, you know, girl, like not girl group, but like I think there's like a Connie Francis song in there. Like when she's when Courtney's, you know, seducing, you know, the boyfriend.
Lollipop.
Yeah,
Lollipop.
Yep.
I was reading that the estate of Connie Francis didn't appreciate that too much.
Oh.
And I think that they took him to court over it, and I think the lawsuit was like thrown out.
Oh, that's too bad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the estate of anybody would approve of that.
Yeah.
This is called a big stick.
I mean, talk about sending young ones mixed messages in that scene. I mean, it's
my elementary school used to sell big sticks for $0.25, and like I remember just at lunch, and I can't imagine how many times just I innocently would just go around saying like, I love big sticks. I'm gonna buy a big stick because I did. I really like big sticks. They're good. They're like pineapple flavored.
I don't know, and I'm speaking purely of the popsicle. I don't know if I've ever had a big stick.
I mean, you should go get yourself to your local ice cream shop.
This actor that plays Dane, Ethan Erickson, I remember being like 13 years old, just being like, so are people just going to kind of look like this in high school?
Is that what high school boys look like?
Is this what high school boys look like?
I brought you something sweet.
What is it?
It's called a big stick.
A big stick.
You want it?
Don't want you.
And I want you to suck your big stick.
You're a little sick.
I said I could do with a little kink. Now suck it and see or get the hell out.
Why don't I look like that?
I was also obsessed with fake Ethan Hawke in this movie.
Zach?
Chad Christ.
Oh, yes.
So
yeah.
I think that I once messaged Darren on like Facebook. I was just like, whatever happened to Chad Christ? And he immediately replied, and he's just like, I don't know.
Oh.
We have no idea what happened to him.
Oh. Well, I mean, he was good in this. He actually played young Ethan Hawke.
He was young Ethan Hawke in Gattaca.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, for a reason, he looks just like him.
Gattaca. I haven't thought of that one in a while.
Yeah,
I like that one.
It's a good one. I love the character of Zach, though, because he's kind of like the cool drama guy, but there's the whole, like, everybody's kind of talk shit behind his back because it's drama, and everybody, there's that whole thing of like, well, if he's in drama, he's got to
heterosexuality isn't guaranteed.
Yeah,
I think that's what Rose says.
That's right.
But he just plays it as like, I'm just a straight dude who really loves acting, and like I don't know, the way he plays it, it's just like, what? I'm just a cool.
Yeah, he's
like,
really likable and charming.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I like the idea of Julie kind of when she becomes an outcast from the group, just kind of finding, she's not just like sitting alone. I love when she kind of experiments hanging out with the goths.
I love the main goth girl. You got a stillborn.
Oh my God, I love her and the way she dances.
Yeah.
She's amazing.
Stirring up the egg yolk with her nail.
There's so many good peripheral high school characters and actors in the movie, like small, like they're all kind of wonderful.
Yeah. I always forget that Tatiana Ali is in this.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, there's Tatiana
And
Ali.
that actress who sadly is no longer with us, I don't think, who was on that 70s show.
Yeah,
and
that's Lisa Robin Kelly.
Yes.
Yeah, I was like, oh, there she is. That's Eric Foreman's sister. I know her. But yeah, she showed up towards the end.
And getting Pam Grier pretty much right after Jackie Brown.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a huge gift for this movie.
Well, can you imagine, though, like, reading this script in that era? Like, it's kind of like, oh, my God, he got Pam Grier. But at the same time, there wasn't material like that going around. So you jump.
Yeah.
Pam probably just wanted to play a badass detective. Okay, so probably if I had any notes for this movie, it would be more scenes with Pam Grier.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just like a little bit more, like one or two more scenes.
Mm-hmm.
I concur on this wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't mind for like a quick pop, if there was some way it worked, seeing Carol Kane's house.
Yes.
I know where the principal lives.
Well, I love her car.
The car is great.
The piece of shit car that's just like rumbling and making all this noise.
Her Mayo is
love
a dependable young woman.
You're tardy, of course. Tardy. I love that Pam Grier's character's name is Vera Cruz. Vera Cruz. It's just that's just very like John Waters, just like a silly name like that. But I mean, I guess a lot of the names are kind of silly in this movie. Like
Courtney Shane, Elizabeth Purr.
Yeah, and Fern Mayo, of course. I mean, it's such a great mayonnaise.
But Vylette is kind of a great name, actually.
The character progression for Fern and Vylette is really fun to just trace the wardrobe with her, of just where they start with her and just sort of her style journey. We should also mention that the costumes in this movie are by Vicki Barrett, and Vicki Barrett was a wardrobe assistant to Mona May, which
Love it.
Totally tracks.
Yeah.
Now, and then how weird is this? I did an ABC Family teen movie that Mona May did the wardrobe, and the Jawbreaker DP shot.
Wow. Love that.
Tiny world. Look at that.
Did you have a lot of questions about the making of Clueless for Mona?
For Mona.
No, Mona May I remember her very distinctly. She was super nice and super outgoing, but she was so like busy and driven and everything. I didn't ask her anything, but I remember distinctly.
Yeah. So, we start off this movie with, the scene of the four of them walking down the hallway. And again, we've already touched on their wardrobe and how just like, obviously this is not high school appropriate.
You see Rose in a lot of reds and purples.
Yeah.
Too. So they kind of have fun with the coloring.
Yeah. They're their signature
of
colors.
All of them.
But they also wear a lot of like I'm assuming they're like vinyls or rubbers or like PVC kind of like
skirts.
Not a lot of stretch in these materials.
Probably hard to sit down in the classroom desk.
But I think with Vylette is just when it's like all the rules are out the window. Her wardrobe, when she starts getting more and more pink, becoming more and more of like the head bitch in charge, her wardrobe is just beyond nuts. And I love it.
It's like pink and red.
Yeah.
So it's almost like she's become a combo of Courtney and Elizabeth.
And Liz, yes.
What does her shirt say? Like the studded shirt? Bitch.
Bitch.
Yeah.
Bitch.
Love it.
Her license plate is bitch.
Yeah.
So good.
I love that this boy gives her a car.
Yeah.
Just on the merits of her like making out with him under the... I mean, probably doing a little bit more than making out underneath that car, but just hands her the keys.
My favorite weird, funny moment of like, oh my God, are you kidding me? I love this movie so much. It is a tiny thing that I guarantee you nobody else would mention. But it's after Vylette has been outed for being Fern, right? And then there's the big kind of plug it up scene in the hall.
Yeah.
I just love that when Julie and Zach find her.
Yes.
She's lying in the middle of the hallway, covered in like trash, and not one school attendant has come to check on her, help her.
Not an adult in sight. Head wound.
Good. Yeah, head wound. But they're like, no, leave her on the floor. Who cares? But it's just so good because it's like, that's what the movie is.
Yeah,
like, it's playing by its own rules.
And covered in the posters. That look like garbage. So she looks like a vagrant homeless person covered in newspapers.
In tattered images of her former self.
Yes. Which, by the way, we don't really know what these girls, like what their parents do or anything like that. But I'm just assuming that they're wealthy.
I mean, does Courtney even have parents?
Does Courtney even have?
Does she even have parents?
She's like having sex with her boyfriend in her own home.
The only one whose parents we don't see.
Yeah. But
right?
I mean, I'm assuming she just has a credit card so she can go to Kinko's and have the stack of posters.
She killed her parents.
She killed them.
Probably
took the money and ran.
Yeah,
and didn't run.
She has a wealthy uncle that just pays the mortgage.
A benefactor, if you will.
Right.
Yeah, but I just love Courtney like showing up at like FedEx Office Max.
I'm gonna need 300 copies, please, various sizes.
Oh my God, yeah, you're right.
There were huge posters when he was pulling them off of her. They were like full on like movie theater poster size. I'm like, oh, these are giant.
Her like Fern mugshot.
Yes,
the yearbook photo.
I love it. Yeah, but Fern's wardrobe journey is absolutely incredible. Just because by the end, when she's in the Corvette, and I think she's just in that last scene where she falls and gets the head wound. I think she's pretty much, her top is pretty much a bra, or like a bikini top with a sheer cardigan over it.
Well, and then after those scenes, when they kind of when they get Courtney at the prom, they kind of revert back to her idolizing Liz, because I think that they sort of style her.
Yeah.
From
her prom dress is
Liz.
a lot more sweet than what we've seen of her previously.
Yes.
Yeah. So the actress who is Liz, I was going to say she doesn't even get any lines. I wish we could see more. As I'm watching the movie, I'm thinking I wish there was more of like Liz before, because it just starts off boom. Like this movie starts. It is like, it starts off at a 10, right? And we don't get to see a lot of this, but I think there's enough of her kind of like peppered throughout the movie that we kind of get a little bit of feel for her. But she doesn't really say anything other than her recorded birthday card where she's like screaming. What are you
I feel
doing?
almost like it's better that way, because if you knew her as a person, the whole thing would lose its kind of
true.
Liz is sort of meant to. Liz is sort of meant to be this blank slate.
It would become too dark.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that.
We don't want to love her.
Yeah,
that'd be sad.
Played by Charlotte Ayana, and Charlotte Ayana is from Puerto Rico.
Okay,
Latina.
You better
love it.
You better work.
You better work.
Liz.
Yep.
She's beautiful.
She really.
We already talked.
Yeah. That scene though, where they open the trunk and the Jawbreaker is in her throat.
That shot.
Looks awful.
It's so good though.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's scary, but it just looks like, oh my God, that's.
And the whole kidnapping sequence is really well done too. And it's like, I remember when I first saw the movie, I thought it was going to be like more of a horror, like because it's done
Right.
so eerily, like the whole thing, and then it's really well shot. This movie too.
Yeah, I was
It's
going to
like every
say,
shot
this
each
movie
way.
looks pretty luxe. Like, it looks like there was money
Yeah.
spent, and money well spent, because probably it didn't have a big budget, maybe a little over $3 million, which,
Wow.
I mean, they definitely made it look pretty good.
Yeah.
He's got vision.
Yeah.
You can make something look amazing with no money if you have vision. It's just very few people seem to.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, wait a minute. This is a lady DP.
Oh.
Amy
Yes, it
Vincent.
is.
I love that. She shot
Yes.
Hustle and Flow and Black Snake Moan. So interesting. I didn't know that.
Wow.
Yeah, she's great.
So, okay. So is the whole thing, though, which I kind of didn't pick up on, is that Dane that she does the big stick scene with, that was Liz's boyfriend before she
I thought
died?
it was Courtney's boyfriend.
I always just thought it was
always
Courtney's
just
boyfriend.
Courtney's boyfriend? Okay.
Yeah, I
was-
think it's just Courtney's.
Okay.
Because I think Liz doesn't have one, right? And that's why they're trying to like make up that she was
Oh, yeah.
had this like
yeah,
wild
yeah,
sex life, and
Okay. And Dane is the guy that she takes, that ultimately becomes prom king.
Yeah.
yes,
Okay. All right.
and then he storms off stage.
bails on her.
Courtney's outed.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the scene. The big stick scene is pretty iconic. It's crazy, but it also speaks to the whole idea, like we were saying, of Courtney not having any parents.
Courtney's bedroom. Like, the production design of Courtney's
that
bed.
room.
Oh, my God.
It's a little Madonna in.
I love that room.
Yeah.
I love Julie's room too. It's so 90s
Yes.
in a great way.
Yeah, Julie's room is it's very 90s. It's very like poppy. Love that.
It's like Harriet the Spy almost.
Oh,
Remember
my
that
God.
movie? It was like
Yes.
that was kind of similar color palette.
Harriet Spy's loft that she lived in.
Yeah. God, I wanted to live in that movie as a little kid. So I was like, everything looks so fun. I remember she goes to that weird like garden of sculptures, and I said, I want to do this. Harriet the Spy. That was an old one.
Yeah, and Michelle Trachtenberg is around my age, kind of tangent, but we're around the same age, and I remember sort of like seeing Michelle Trachtenberg in that movie and just being like, she's my age.
That could be me.
That could be me.
She
I could do
I
that.
kinda did the same thing.
she has my career.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, who wouldn't want to like live that life of like Harriet the Spy and have Ro as your
And have Rosie O'Donnell
Yeah.
put you to bed. Come on.
aunt? Is that her aunt?
No, she was just golly. She was just
The nanny.
nanny.
The nanny.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then quits.
I haven't
And
read
it's
those
really
books in a
sad.
while. Aw. So, okay. Well, so yeah, we do get a little bit of their parents because Julie's mother gives her the box of like,
The box of stuff.
yeah,
Kind of
souvenirs.
the
Julie's mother
remnants.
is clearly very intense and overbearing and overly concerned. But it's always done in this kind of like subtle way. Like she's, she's just always like fawning over her. And poor Rebecca Gayheart's like, thanks. Mom, I got it.
I mean, she's coming from it of like her friend died. So she's
Exactly.
like, we don't want to. We don't
But
want to.
even that is kind of like a more of a like Todd Solondz way of going about
Sure.
than
like a normal 90s teen movie where it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, so
Like the caring, kind mom is annoying.
Right,
Like that
right,
says
right.
a lot about the perspective of Jawbreaker.
yeah, well, we get a lot in the same in the Jeff Conaway scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and we learn that he's like a single father, and he's just like, at first he's sounding a little overbearing, but she's coming off real bad the way she treats her dad.
Yeah.
But then when he's like, oh, I was watching Oprah, and you're like, all right, here we go. He's a nerd, but then he straight up tells her, I think you're a follower. And I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
Just come out and saying it.
Damn. That's like,
And I love when he sings Tiffany.
yeah.
That's just great.
Yeah, that's amazing. Took her to a Tiffany concert when she was a kid. Love that. But yeah, it's interesting the parents that we do see. And yeah,
I mean, kind of a connection to Heathers of that whenever you see the adults
they don't know what the
in the
hell
universe
going
of
on.
Heathers, they're kind of all fucking idiots.
Just clueless.
Yeah.
Yeah. Vera Cruz is not clueless. She knows what's
her
going on.
scenes with Rose are really good.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, that whole interrogation sequence is great.
Just because both of those actresses just have such a presence about them that you can just tell that they're just trying to one-up each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I love that when, she says, like, my name is Detective Vera Cruz. You can call me Vera. And she goes, okay, yeah. Okay, Vera. She's just like, okay. All right.
I'd say like 90% of the way Rose delivers her lines in this movie is not the way most people would choose to deliver their lines. Like it's just an amazing thing to watch. Like this is her take.
Yeah.
And it works.
And Courtney as a character is very well under pressure being interrogated, that she knows that she can't overly bullshit this woman, of that when she gets out the Jawbreaker and she's just like, sure, it's a Jawbreaker.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I've seen one.
Yeah.
Doesn't she say something early in the movie about like thinking on your feet or just like, I think she
Yeah.
says something to Julie about like,
That was really good.
On your toes.
yeah, yeah.
I'm just saying you're in total control.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's it too. When she says, "Yeah, that was really good," she's like, "What do you mean?"
Yeah, what do you mean?
Yeah, so you can see how she'll just like turn on you like in a
And
second.
then she's like, oh, I know.
Yeah. Because at first she was just like, "No, I'm not going to be the mom." Like, but then she just okay, whatever it takes.
She can roll with it.
Yeah.
I know. I feel like Courtney would have, if she hadn't been outed at the prom, she'd be a major politician.
Yeah,
That's what I think.
yeah, absolutely. I love it. Can we talk a little bit about Courtney's like crazy metallic hair wrap at the prom?
Yes. Now I know a little insider thing about that. I believe, I could be wrong, but I think that was kind of designed very last minute, I think, if I remember correctly. Because every look was sort of really, predetermined.
Yeah.
And then I think her iconic headpiece was kind of a last minute thing that they did. if I
Okay.
remember. Yeah.
Well,
And it's amazing.
it's great. Julie Benz has crimped hair.
Yeah.
Rebecca
Yes.
Gayheart has blue roses in her hair.
Got ready at a moment's notice, too.
It got ready at a moment. Yeah,
She really did.
she was just like, I got this laying around.
Yep.
She and Vylette both were like, all right, we can do this 10 minutes.
Violette's hair now, it almost has like a little French twist going on, so it almost indicates that like some time has passed, a little bit longer. And then Courtney has the cool like,
I love Violette's prom dress, actually. That kind of
the Little
pink.
Mermaid.
The Little Mermaid dress.
Yeah.
Mermaid tail, fish
Because she's
tail.
so tall, it just like looks
you
so
really
good.
see like how like tall and kind of like this body that like Judy Greer is just
Dressed.
like okay, yeah.
Clothes
It's like it kind of sucks, but clothes kind of look better on like
Those model proportions.
On that body.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Although
it's
Courtney's curves in this movie,
my-
Rose's,
God.
she's that shot of her when she's picking up Vincent at the bar and it's behind her and it's like she's in the corset,
the laced up
and the red
corset.
like, latex skirt. Oh,
Yeah.
yes,
That is.
yes.
And you don't even see her face, but it's like that's Rose. That's
Yeah,
like
it's super effective. They didn't use a stand-in for that.
yeah.
Yeah, you're not like, is that Julie Benz?
No.
That's,
Yeah. So Courtney's crazy idea of just like, I got it. We're gonna make it look like she was
and
assaulted.
it's so fucked up.
Yeah.
It's so
Dark.
So first, it's fucked up enough that it's like this is their friend, and she's like, "Oh, should I like? What about her panties?
Rip
Rip
'em.
them."
Rip 'em.
So, like,
and the way she's like, what is she? Someone is like, should we do this? And she's like, no time.
No time.
But
Yeah.
she would love to, clearly.
Yeah. So like that's all fucked up enough. But then she comes up with this crazy story about how Liz is a sex fiend and she picks up strange men and all that stuff, but really Courtney goes out and does it. Then she fucks this dude on the bed
Yeah.
with the body under
The body
the bed.
underneath
Yeah.
it. I mean, I know it's those moments where you're like, TriStar didn't like.
They were given a
make
lot of
notes.
leeway with
They
this
didn't
movie.
mark a page and be like, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, it also just makes you think that it was at a time where they just gave them this pretty small budget and we're just like, go make your movie. We're worrying. We're like,
Sure.
we have other movies on our mind right now.
Yeah. Well, if it initially was intended to be direct to video, then maybe all that stuff in the script just got grinned that a lot easier. If they're just like, that'll just be on shelves, we don't have to worry about a release.
I think a lot of the most beloved cult movies are a result of a project kind of coming from independent-minded roots and sort of somehow being released as a mainstream movie, but the studio's still kind of scared of it. So it's the same thing that kind of happened with Rocky Horror. It happens with all the most beloved. So they land in this way where everybody knows about it because it was released in a mainstream manner, but everyone who digs it loves it for its independent, transgressive spirit. So you kind of, Jawbreaker's one of them to me.
Yeah, yeah. Which kind of leads me to another angle that we haven't talked about of this movie, is that critically, when it was released,
not liked,
did not do well.
Yep.
Nope.
But its legacy has far outlived the 0 stars that Roger Ebert gave it.
I mean, Roger Ebert also gave the Doom generation 0 stars.
True, yeah.
And I love Roger Ebert.
No,
but he doesn't dig. He hates Wild at Heart. He hates A Clockwork Orange. He hates a lot of great, tough stuff.
Same. I mean, Scott, we're a big Roger Ebert, fan house here, but it's like, certain things just did not jive well with him, and
man from a different time, too.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. So I mean, this movie got, it was poorly critically reviewed, but just audiences. I think
it just probably they didn't know what the hell to do with it.
Yeah.
At that time, if when we started this thing, we were talking about the massive amount of '90s teen movies, and then this thing. So maybe if you thought that it was trying to be She's All That, you really would think it's a mess. But of course, it's not at all. You know?
And then there were people like me, who came into it just with this Heather's chip on their shoulder.
Sure.
And I think there was just so much unfair comparison at the time, even though it was 11 years later.
And I can say I was so out. I have a weird thing where Heather's was just before my time.
Right. Yeah.
Mean Girls was kind of after.
Yep.
Jawbreaker's the one that lands in this. So I didn't have that just by virtue of I hadn't seen Heather's.
And I feel like I discovered Heather's from the Rolling Stone pull quote from the box art of Jawbreaker.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Really?
I think it said the best teen film since Heather's from Peter Travers and the Rolling Stones. And I think that got me to go rent Heather's.
Nice.
So I mean, it just sort of set me on this little gay journey of teen movies.
I remember seeing Heather's, but I know it was after Jawbreaker. I don't remember when I saw Heather's but I know it was after.
Yeah. And it's it's an easy comparison, but ultimately if you actually sit down and watch the two of them, it's they couldn't be more different, but they each have their own merits in that kooky fucked up high school way.
And I know that Darren has, major respect and love for Heather's and all of that, and so that's woven in. But I definitely think it's his own. It totally stands on its own two legs.
And when this movie is full of references and respect for other movies, but it's just there's so much other things that are in there.
It never beats you over the head with anything.
Yeah,
no,
yeah, but it does feel like somebody who grew up on John Waters and Rocky Horror and those kooky fringe movies that queer people gravitate towards, and it has an obvious reference to that style of movie making and it's kind of taken its place,
kind of like a weird Russ Meyers movie for teenagers. Very faster,
Pussycat,
Pussycat Kill, just the styling of these girls.
I don't know. How great is that? I don't know if that's really been done since, necessarily.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Not really.
No, not really.
Just in that one scene in Pee-wee's Big Holiday.
Sure.
He played.
Just still not seen.
I
like that scene.
Yeah.
I like that scene of it, though.
That one scene is really cool. They do a really fun Faster Pussycat kind of homage in it with the styling of these three girls. And one of them is Alia Shawkat, so it's pretty cool.
I love her.
Yeah, I love her. So, but yeah, I feel like a lot of movies, I don't know if teen movies are playing it safe now and with not wanting to go too far over the line, but I feel like this is one of the last times that filmmakers were just you could just do it and
Yeah. They kind of feel like in the 90s it felt like teen movies were movies tonally made for adults about
Yeah.
teens. And now teen movies are for children.
Yes.
And teens are actually online and social media.
And watching Euphoria.
No, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm watching. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Like actual teen movies that are made today, like the Netflix kind of stuff.
For
Those
kids.
are for kids. Yeah.
But at the same time, like, you know, when I saw Scream at like,
Same. Yep.
which is probably looking back like a bit inappropriate. Like I think that 90s teen movies, they were always they were super rated R, but I was watching them as a kid. It was just sort of everybody was. It was
I mean, that's kind of like the idea, you know, with this show too. It's like a lot of these movies were things that, I mean, this one was ostensibly made for us, but a lot of the movies that we touch on this show are movies that were not necessarily made for little boys to fall in love with, but we just did, you know?
Yeah.
We just fell in love with these movies about like these awesome women that we were just like, I don't know.
I mean, the movie of my childhood to me, and like in that manner, is Carrie. Ironically, that you brought it up with this one, but I think I first saw Carrie when I was like 7 or 8, like really little, and you know, I could go on and on and on as to why, but it was one of those movies that just it tapped into everything that was other about me and felt kind of outside, and it's kind of amazing.
So, where does Courtney sort of stack up for movie bad girls? I mean, she's definitely one of my favorites that we've covered on the show.
I think she's one of the sickest.
Yeah.
She's really like,
I mean, I think one of my favorite like discussions with Courtney is when she's it's Fern's first day as Vylette, and she's kind of explaining the way they do things and all of that, and she was just like, well, it's not like we kill people. And then they all look at each other like, oh shit, just on purpose.
And just like the tragic end of Courtney is stoning by corsage. Like that is some gay ass shit
and
right
that
there.
Shot. I mean, of her slow motion falling apart, it's just everything.
And kind of Rose as an actress knows to go there that we really have to show this woman ugly.
Yeah.
Too. Like we have to show her like what's inside of Courtney in this moment. Like it's genius.
So it was someone's job to go around and check all of those corsages and make sure there were no pins in them. It had to be.
Oh yeah.
God, it had to be. You're right.
Because I'm like, all those corsages, you better be sure they're not throwing them with full on pins. And I hope she didn't cross anybody too bad, and they didn't just like shove a pin in their corsage before they threw it at her. This one's gonna get her. This is for you, Rose.
I remember.
Great, actually.
I remember the screening that we were at. That Judy Greer did the Q&A. Somebody asked her about Rose, and you could tell Judy Greer just sort of had this look on her face of that, like, I really don't want to talk about Rose because she kind of scares the shit out of me. And she said that very much informed the character of making the movie. That I was kind of scared shitless of Rose McGowan as I was making this movie.
I mean, and maybe that's why it's so palpable on screen.
Yeah.
The intimidation of Courtney Shane.
Yeah, I mean, I at the time then, even now, I feel like with Rose, I would just like not handle her with kid gloves, but I feel like I would kind of defer to her and just be like, all right, you know what you're talking about.
The ending of Jawbreaker 2, just to go back to that shot you're talking about when she's falling apart and being pelted by corsage, it's such a karmic kind of moral ending. That, and it's kind of the movie letting you know, like, okay, so this. Really, the hero of the movie, let's be honest, we all watch it for Courtney.
Yeah.
But it's like, at the end of the day, she's still going to get her comeuppance.
Yes.
But it's not really like anybody has a victory. Like, sure, Julie outs her, but it's not even like a Mean Girls ending where it's like, they all learn something good. This is literally just like the bitch is taken down, the case closed, that's it.
Yeah, totally. And it's almost better that we don't see her led away in handcuffs or like shaking the bars, like 6 months later, it's that super gay.
Although I do have to say, I do kind of want to see a women's prison movie with Courtney in jail.
Why doesn't he do a sequel?
I kind of want to see that. I want to see like a ladies behind bars of like Rose in prison.
Oh my God! Like an old Russ Meyer, like prison movie, but it's a Jawbreaker sequel. I love it.
There we go.
Let's pitch it.
Darren, get him on the phone.
Just like the Lady Gaga telephone, like Coke cans, like curlers.
I mean, she'd be running.
Would run the prison.
That's what I was going to say. She'd be running the hell out of that cell block.
Oh,
She'd be the queen.
the Courtney Shane women's prison movie.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I love it. I love it. One last thing, when we talked about Fern getting pelted, when she was outed as like, did it say who is Vylette? Was that what the thing said? But it's a picture of Fern, and everybody's just like screaming at her. It's like, Fern Mayo. It's just Fern Mayo. But it's like, you guys were the ones that were all about her. You guys were the ones that were like, it's all about Vylette. It's like, well, you're the idiots. You're the dummies. It's like, it's so weird.
I like just this big grift that's been on all of the teachers of just like, well, where is Fern?
Yeah, I know. I love that it's like a name change. This whole thing. I know. It's so great. It's cool.
It's so silly. I love it.
None of the teachers were just like, oh, hi, Fern.
No, I know, but it also shows like, it just shows like, okay, so you dyed her hair blonde and gave her some new outfits, and like everyone knew Fern, and now everyone knows Vylette, and one's great and one's not. I don't know. It's actually kind of true of like high school bullshit in many ways. And
it is kind of funny to the idea of the girl that is so forgettable that even the teachers are just like, were you in my class? Mm-hmm. Were you? Wait. Like, it's just very Arrested Development. Like,
sure.
Under her picture in the yearbook. Under her picture in the yearbook, it says not pictured. Just that forgettable. But yeah. But again, that's just the comedy of this movie, the like heightened reality that.
Heightened reality. That's a good one.
We love it. Yeah. So, I mean, this movie's amazing.
I'm picturing like a really good club flyer of Fern Mayo.
Oh, yeah.
That needs to be a club flyer.
That has to have been done once, right? At this point, somebody has to have. No, maybe not.
I mean, we can. Let's
when we were at Queen Kong for the Jawbreaker night, there was a Vylette drag queen there, and there was also a Courtney drag queen. It was Joni Reinhardt, I think. She did the end prom look.
Okay.
Yep.
I want to do Carol Kane's end prom look. If I do drag. That's what I want to do.
That would be absolutely
with the taffeta.
A sight to see. I love it.
Yeah.
We'll post a picture of
We'll post a picture of Joni Reinhardt. She had a really good Courtney Shane prom look.
Yeah, we'll post it on our IG. But man, this movie's so much fun to talk about.
Yeah, this movie's great.
I feel like we could talk about it all day. Thomas, this has been a lot of fun.
This has been a joy.
Thank you so much for coming. Show. Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
So what have you been up to these days, work-wise? What do you have coming up?
I got lots of stuff going on. I have a TV show called Swimming with Sharks that I'm really excited about. It's Diane Kruger and Kiernan Shipka and Donald Sutherland and Finn Jones and all these great people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Kathleen Robertson from Greg Rocky.
Yeah.
She wrote and created it, and obviously it's based on the movie from the 90s, Swimming with Sharks, inspired by, I should say. So that comes out on Roku the top of April, and we premiere at South by Southwest in March, which is very fun because I love it there. I have a movie coming out in the fall called Little Dixie. I have an EP coming out this Tuesday called Rescuer.
Love it.
And I'm gearing up to make another movie. To make one that I wrote and will direct.
Wow,
that's what
great.
I got, but that I can't talk about.
Booked and blessed, love it.
Yeah, definitely booked and blessed. Well, that sounds awesome. We'll have our eye out for all of that stuff. Especially, we're super excited for Swimming with Sharks. We love Kathleen Robertson.
I think you'll love it.
Kind of also like Swimming with Sharks. Like, what a great time and just sort of the post Me Too, like examining subject matter like being abused at work. Like, I mean, like, what a great time for a show like that.
Yes, and particularly that it's kind of with two women at its center, you know, and kind of looking at how that works in that space, which is interesting.
Yeah, that's so cool. We're very excited for that. Awesome.
Well, I hope you like it. I am a catty bitch. So.
I love that.
And what's that going to be on?
April, very beginning of April. On Roku.
Roku, okay, sure.
Awesome. All right, man. Well, this was great. We would love to have you on.
This is a pleasure.
Oh, thank you so much. We'd love to have you on again for something.
Yeah.
We'll have to set something up.
Anytime.
Awesome.
Keep up the fabulous work.
Awesome. Well, we're going to play you out with our awesome theme music. But until we see you again, thank you again, and we'll see you next time. And thank you so much.
Thanks so much
for listening, everybody.
Another good episode.
Yeah, this
Love
is
this
great.
movie.
Thanks again to Thomas Dekker for coming on our show.
I remember being gagged when he followed us.
Yeah.
And just being like, oh my God, Thomas Dekker just followed us. I love him.
Yeah, that was really cool. That was a gag. And now he's here on our show. But that was extra cool. Thanks for listening, everybody. We have some fun
Patreon shout-outs.
Some Patreon shout-outs, and we have a couple of new patrons. Oh, this is always so exciting. We would love to say a big thank you so much and hello to our wonderful patrons, Melanie and Christopher and Russ. I think you guys are the new ones. And Seth and Alberto, Esperanza, Nicole, Susan, Barry, JJ, Leighton, Shelby, Michael, Charlie, Paul, Jamie, Drew, Jimmy, Genevieve, Dawn, Josh, Emma, Melly, Aaron, Melinda and Jim, Jessica, Nick and Shannon, Christine and Rufino. Oh, goodness. Thank you so much for being patrons.
Yeah.
Head over to patreon.com/movies that made us gay for all of our additional content, including
our Watch With Us commentaries.
Our 18, 19?
I don't know. We're getting up
20?
there.
We've got a lot of commentaries on there for you to watch. Those are bonus episodes. You can sync up the commentary MP3 track with the movie.
You can either watch it with the movie or you can just listen to it in your
Yeah,
car.
just listen to it in the car without the movie. You can kind of hear it in the background. And it's just us giving our sparkling commentary on these fun movies. A lot of horror movies in our commentary tracks. Lots of fun. And we also have behind-the-scenes pictures and photos, and playlists, seasonal playlists, things like that, newsletters, all that fun stuff in the Patreon. So go over and check it out. If you want to just do a one-time donation for 1 month, if you drop $10, you can listen to all the commentaries you want in that 30 days.
We appreciate all of it.
And then just cancel after a month. And it's totally appreciated and loved. We know times are tough, so whatever you can afford is wonderful. We thank you so much for contributing. All the money goes directly back into keeping the show afloat and keeping it on the air for all of you guys and weekly and ad-free, I must say. And patreon.com, movies that made us gay. We'd also love it if you would rate and review us. You can now rate our show on Patreon.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Not Patreon.
Patreon. Spotify.
Yep. We were both saying it. You can now rate our show on Spotify. Spotify has a rating system for podcasts now. So give us 5 stars on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts. All you got to do on Spotify, you actually have to listen to at least like 10 minutes of an episode in order to do it. If you don't, they won't let you. But Apple Podcasts, just go over, hit those 5 stars, mash them up. It helps us to get seen, helps the word get out. So
those mysterious algorithms.
Yes. Oh, and reviews, you guys.
Yeah,
write
leave us a
review. We haven't had a review in a while. I want to read a review on the show. So do that. And like us on any and all of the social media platforms. We're on all of them. We are on Facebook and Instagram at Movies That Made Us Gay. And we are on Twitter
at MTMUGPod.
Yes, indeed. So go over and follow us there. We interact a lot with our listeners and our social media friends. You can also follow us personally if you care to. My name is Pete. I am at Peter Lasagna on Instagram and Twitter.
I'm Scott Youngballer on Instagram and follow my letterbox.
Yes, indeed. So this was another great episode. Season 4, off to a bang.
We're getting to some really fun movies.
Sweet. I'm super excited. We will see you next week, everybody. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.